friends, thanks for joining us today. My name is Kim Murdoch and you're watching Arts Hub Online. Today's craft is super fun. These are monster feet. They're made out of tissue boxes and construction paper. They're really fun to make. They're really fun to wear around the house. They won't fit on my feet, but they're perfect for kids' feet. I'll tell you all about the supplies you need and then I'll talk about the steps, and it'll be a really fun craft today. So I hope you make these, and if you do, definitely send me some photographs of you wearing them around the house. I would love to see them in action. All right, guys, the first thing we need to talk about are the supplies. Like I said, you need some tissue boxes. They don't have to match. These just happen to be the same. They don't have to have the same pattern because you're going to cover them with this paper. But they do need to have this type of opening. So it could be a rectangle or it can be an oval, but it needs to have this plastic. That's going to help prevent you from getting a paper cut on your ankles. You should also wear socks when you're wearing your monster feet. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a glue stick today, but you're definitely going to need a pencil and some clear tape. These are important things you're going to need. You might need a Sharpie, you might not, but it's always wise to have one on hand. You're going to also need some colored markers today, and definitely you're going to need some construction paper. Now I have a lot of construction paper. It takes probably at least 4 or 5 sheets of it to cover these, and then another several pieces to make all the decorations. So you do need to have several sheets of construction paper today. So that's really all it takes to make these, but there's a lot of steps in between. One of the steps is we have to cover the box first with a color. So I'll show you how that works slowly, one step at a time, just so you get the idea. And also, I went ahead and pre-cut these, but I want you to be thinking about designs and patterns. You can see that I made these green dots and I put them all over. I also went ahead and made some toenails, what I would kind of consider to be monster toenails. But I also made other things that you don't see in here. I just wanted to show you the variety. So you can make wiggly, squiggly lines out of different colors. They can be long or short. You can see how these are also squiggly, but they're a different size. I made hearts. I made lightning bolts. So all these different shapes. It's a really great challenge to kind of think of the different sort of shapes you'd like to have. It's really a good idea if you make them ahead of time, but if you don't, that's fine too. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works one step at a time, and then I'm going to finish working on it in time-lapse video, which means it's going to look like I'm moving really fast, but I'm not actually. And at the end, I'll tell you how to finish up and also what we're going to make next time. So it's going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to it. Here we go. All right, friends, so today we're going to try something new. In addition to the time lapse, which you've seen before, I'm actually zooming in so that you guys can see up close a little bit. I want to make sure you really see what each step is. So once you have your box, you're going to have it ready. We're going to do one at a time. So I've already done red, so I'm going to choose a different color for my monster feet now. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do yellow. So I know that I'm going to need 4 sheets of yellow. And that's because I have 2 boxes and I want to make sure that they are the same color. So whatever color you choose, make sure you have enough. So here's 4 sheets. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place it like this, and I'm going to put this on its side, okay? I'm going to pick up my pencil, and what I'm doing, guys, is I'm just putting this right on the edge of my paper. And then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace the box on there. And I hope you can see that pencil line. I chose yellow so it would show up. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again because I have 2 sides of the box that are the same size. So I'm going to draw with my pencil another section. You see how I have that now? And this is actually wider than what I have there, so I'm not worried about that right now. So first things first, I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut on this section, right on that pencil line. And I'm going to do the best I can. You don't have to be perfect, just remember to take your time. And so there I go. So I have 2 pieces now, like that. I'm going to put these extra pieces aside. And so what we're going to do first is use our clear tape. The clear tape is really helpful today because we're going to place the paper where it belongs. And just take a piece of clear tape and tape it down. And you see how it's just taped on one side now? I'm going to take some more tape. And what I'm just doing is I'm holding it in place. So I'm going to do one piece of clear tape on all four sides of this yellow that I've started with. So now it's attached to the side, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I already know that that's going to fit. See how it fits nicely? If it did not fit, guys, I could do one of two things. I could just put it on there anyway if it's too small, and then use more pieces to sort of fill in the extra space that needs to be covered. Or I could, if it's too big, I could just trim it so that it fits, okay? All right, so I have now put the tape on. So I've got my yellow paper on two sides of my box. I need it on this side, and the top. So we are going to save these scraps because they are going to be useful another time. That's why this takes a lot of paper. I'm going to take another sheet of yellow paper. I'm going to do the same thing I did, but now I'm doing it with the end. And so the reason I'm putting it up here in the corner is because I want to make use of the edges of the paper. I would never just put it right in the middle because then I'd be wasting a lot of paper and I'd have to cut more instead of less. So again, we know that this box has two sides that are the same shape. So I'm going to hold this in place. I'm going to make those lines just like I did for the sides. I'm going to go ahead and cut on those lines as well. So just take your time. Just know that you can always start and stop these videos at any time if you need more time to complete a step. And also just know that I'm always going to work a little faster than you guys do just because I'm trying to show you my example. Alright friends, so I have two pieces of paper now that I know should fit on the ends. So I'm going to treat the ends exactly like I did the other side. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm just going to place that tape on the edge, and I'm going to do that on all four sides. So you see how I did the top and the bottom now. Now I'm going to do this side, and I'm going to do this side. See how that's on there now? I'm going to do the same thing on the end. Again, if your paper is too small, you can use more pieces of paper until you cover up the box, or if it's too big, you can trim it before you tape it on. So you always have options. That's why there are no mistakes in art. You can always problem solve and fix something so that you like it. And you're not wasting supplies. All right, so I have covered the sides, and now I need to cover the top. That's where these extra pieces are going to come in handy. So the first thing I want to do is I think I'm going to, if you notice, this is like the right length, but it's too wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut this right down the middle. Now that was just kind of lucky that it worked out that way. It doesn't really matter how you cover it as long as you cover it. So I'm going to take these two long pieces and I'm going to tape them on. So I am taping on my long pieces, and I'm going to do the same thing on the side. So even though this project doesn't take a lot of supplies, it takes some patience and it takes a lot of creativity. So you just have to kind of be patient and get through this first part. You see how I'm using a little more tape? Because these are longer pieces, and if they're kind of bumpy and they're not lying flat, you're welcome to use as much tape as you need, guys. This clear tape I buy at the dollar store, and it's 50 cents actually. You get two for $1, and it's nice because it really is clear. It's crystal clear. All right, so we've got this end to cover and this end to cover. And so what I want to do is I am going to actually want to make sure I use a lot of this paper. So I'm going to cut this in half. And I just want to show you what this looks like. If I just use it the way that it is, it would still leave a space for your foot, and that probably will work. But you probably want to give yourself a little bit of a curve here. And that is just so you have a little bit more space for your foot, okay? All right, so I'm going to go back to my trusty tape, and I'm going to tape this on. Now, if you need help with the tape from your parents, I'm sure they'll be happy to help you out. The tape is a great way to put things together. You don't always have to glue things. We are going to glue all the decorations on today, though, so that is happening a little bit later. All right, friends, so you see how I've done this now? I am making sure that my yellow paper is really on there good. It's not going to fall off anytime soon because you are going to wear these, so you do want them to be nice and sturdy. Okay, so voila, I've covered my box. You do not have to cover the bottom. Why? Because the bottom's going to be on the ground. If you have a sibling, you might want to put your name on the bottom just to make sure nobody can wear your monster feet except you. All right, guys, so that's one box, and what I'm going to do next is the details. So I'll come back in just a moment and we will continue. All right, so our yellow box is ready for decoration. So what you need to think about are creating these toes. So you see how this thing has toes that stick out like that? So I created those with another color paper, and then I added something else on there. So since this first one has green toes and a red box, I think I'm going to make this second one have orange toes. So I have gotten a nice piece of orange paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half first because I'm going to save that other sheet. It's a really nice way to make sure you save your paper. And now I've cut that one in half as well. You can see they're not exactly the same, but that doesn't matter. So what I want to do is come up with something that's going to be like monster toes. These are separate. You see how I cut each one out separately? You can also make them connected if you want. And I thought I would do that today for a little change of pace. So I'm going to take one of my pieces of orange paper, and I'm just going to kind of think about some monster toes. This is fun because you can make it any way you want to, guys. I mean, these can be big, they can be small, they can be whatever shape you like. I kind of thought it would be fun like that. So my monster toes are going to stick out like that. And I'm going to go ahead and make a nice wavy line right here just for fun, just to show you kind of that you can experiment with this. It's really fun. It lets your creativity kind of shine. So, how's that for a monster toe? It's pretty cute. I want to make sure my monster toes, though, kind of match. So I'm going to take this because I do like this, and I'm going to put it on my other sheet, my orange sheet, the other one I cut out. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my pencil and trace that. And so you don't have to do this, but it's nice. It's a nice way to make sure you end up with something that's about the same. And so I'm going to go ahead and just trim that out right now. I'm going to use that later, but it's always good to be ready ahead of time. Have things just ready. It makes things go smoothly when you are ready. There we go. Trying to get around that toe, guys. There we go. So once I have this out and ready, meaning I'm going to have it cut out, I'm just going to set it over here for later. I'm going to put my scraps aside. I'm going to come back to my monster toes. So as you may remember, I had pre-cut some of these, and these are yellow. And so because my box is yellow and my monster toenails are yellow, this is kind of a good time for a Sharpie. So I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm just going to add some lines on my toenails. And that's just kind of for fun. You can think about that whatever you want. I'm going to add some lines, and it's going to make my monster toes look kind of funky, and well, that's really what I want anyway. So I don't know if my monster's toenails are all that clean, if you know what I'm talking about. They might be kind of green or dirty, but I need 6 of them, so I've given both of my monster feet 6 or 3 toes on each foot. But of course you can do as many as you like. All right. So I put some black Sharpie lines on my monster toenails. It's time to use my glue stick now. So what you want is you want the end of the toenail to stick out past the edge of the toe. And that is really just to make your monsters look like they have some pretty significant toes. And those go right there. So you can see I'm using my glue stick now. See how I use kind of a lot of glue? I always tell my students and my campers that don't go skimpy on the glue, guys. You don't want these things to fall apart. You want them to stay together. Do you see how my monster's toes are hanging off the edge of the box? That's what we want. I'm going to save these extra toenails with my extra monster toes. I'm going to set them aside. And now really, if the fun part comes, you just get to kind of wing it and decide what is going on with your monster's feet. I cut out these blue squiggly lines that I just think are super fun. And so I'm going to go ahead and just going to start going for it. And I just wanted to show you a little bit, and then I'm going to do this part in time lapse. But just want you to get the feel for it, guys, how much fun this is. So I just added some squigglies on there that stick out. So it's really whatever you want, guys. It's fun, and you can just kind of go crazy with it. So now that's why I was saying it's kind of helpful if you have these shapes cut out ahead of time. See that? It's starting to look like a monster's face, isn't it? That's kind of fun. So that's what I mean. You can just kind of go for it. Have a good time. There is no right or wrong way to do it. If you want to make them bend over the edge like this, for example, you can do that. I think I will do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And as you can see, it's just totally fun. You can just do whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and do time lapse as I finish this one, and I'll also finish this one. And then when I come back after that, I'll tell you how to finish up everything and also what we'll make next time. So that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it was really cool. I really love how these look. You can see how they are similar to my first pair of monster feet, but they're different. They are different sized tissue boxes, so they're just kind of different sizes as well. In this example, I for all the shapes, I did a Sharpie line. So that was just to show you how you could add more detail if you want to. Also, I wanted to point out to you something that these have in common, even if they're different in designs and all of that, is they're kind of symmetrical. So basically, you can see how I have similar things to kind of make them look balanced. But what's really important is that the monster feet are similar to each other. So you see how on this side I have the same kind of stuff, and on this side I do, and on the front, and on the back, with the exception of this little orange dot instead of a second green dot, and that's because I didn't have any more green dots. But sometimes it's okay. It doesn't have to be the exact same color if it's the same shape. So that's how you make your monster feet. I think they're super cute. If I could wear them, I would. Like I said, if you wear these at home and take pictures, please send them to me. I would love to see these being used, and I just think they're so much fun. So speaking of fun, next week's craft is something that is a game. It's really cool, and I wanted to show you it. It's called Tic-Tac-Toe on the Go, and this is something that is made out of paper plates. And can you hear that? It rattles. That's because inside I have my tic-tac-toe pieces. I have a little section right here, and I can take out my tic-tac-toe pieces, which are made out of water bottle lids, and I could play tic-tac-toe. So here I go. I could play tic-tac-toe with myself or with a friend, And let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and let myself win today, guys. There it is. Tic-tac-toe. 3 in a row. All right, friends. That was really fun. I hope you are looking forward to next week. I know I am. I will see you then. Actually, I have one more thing I have to tell you. So, remember when I was talking about cutting out all these shapes? So if you have extra shapes like this, save them for another craft. They are great for future crafts. So do not throw these away, my friends. However, if you have lots of little scraps and things that really are not useful, the good news is you can use them for another craft another day. I have one coming up that requires all these scraps. So you see how I'm saving all my little scraps here? Instead of recycling them, I'm saving them because I am going to do a really cool craft in the next couple of weeks that uses all these scraps of paper, and it's to make wildflower seed bombs, which are something that is so cool that you can actually plant in your garden. So save these little scraps, save the bigger scraps for another day, and save the cool shapes for another craft. Thanks, friends. See you next time.